Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Aditi Lumba with the evening news. The headlines. Both houses of parliament faced disruptions over various issues including Pegasus snooping. Lok Sabha adjourned for the day. Rajya Sabha takes up discussion on management of COVID-19 pandemic, implementation of vaccination policy and challenges of possible third wave. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asked BJP MPs to counter misinformation spread by opposition about COVID-19 situation in the country. Government is always open to discussion with farmers to resolve the issue, says Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar. More than 41 crore 18 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered so far under nationwide vaccination drive. National COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 97.37%. Two-thirds of Indians have COVID antibodies, says ICMR Sero survey. President and Vice President greet the nation on the eve of Eid-ul-Zuha. And in cricket, Sri Lanka set a target of 276 runs for India in second ODI in Colombo. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is going on, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also to help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news. Both houses of parliament witnessed stormy scenes on the second consecutive day today over various issues including Pegasus snooping. The Lok Sabha has been adjourned for the day after seeing multiple adjournments. The Rajya Sabha also faced repeated adjournments. When the Lok Sabha met after the second adjournment at 3 p.m., members from the Congress, TMC, DMK and others again trooped into the well, raising the issue related to alleged snooping of political leaders and others. The chair adjourned the House for the day. Earlier, the House witnessed 2 adjournments on the same issues. Opposition members had given adjournment motions on the alleged snooping and other issues. YSR Congress members were opposing the privatization of the Visakhapatnam steel plant and demanding special status for Andhra Pradesh. In the Rajya Sabha, when the House met after the second adjournment at 1 p.m., YSR Congress members trooped into the well demanding special status for Andhra Pradesh. Leader of the House Piyush Goyal urged the agitating members to allow the House to take up discussion on COVID-19 pandemic, saying it is an important issue which has affected the entire world.
I would like to appeal to you to allow the House to discuss this very important subject that's affecting the whole world today. All of India is watching this debate on COVID, and my request is that you may kindly help us to discuss this important matter, participate in this debate, tell us about how Andhra Pradesh also faced this and tackled this COVID, and let us have this in a very positive and friendly manner, this debate, in the interest of the nation.
Amid noisy scenes, the House took up discussion on the COVID-19 situation. YSR Congress members continued their protest, which forced a brief adjournment of the House till 1:34 p.m.
Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia today said that the Narendra Modi government is working with full responsibility in dealing with the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic, and its aim is to save the lives of the people. Mr. Mandavia was replying to a discussion in the Rajya Sabha on the management of COVID-19 pandemic, implementation of vaccination policy and challenges of possible third wave. He said that the government has already prepared a plan to deal with the possible third wave of the pandemic, taking experience from the last 2 waves. The Health Minister said the government has come out with India COVID-19 emergency response and health system preparedness package amounting to over 23,000 crore rupees, which will be spent in 9 months from July 2021 to 31st March 2022. Mr. Mandavia informed the members of the House that under the scheme, pediatric units in all 736 districts of the country will be created, while around 2.4 4 lakh medical beds and 20,000 ICU beds will be set up, and out of which 20% will be pediatric ICU beds. He also informed that under the package, the existing fleet of the ambulance will be augmented and the facility will also be available in blocks. Mr. Mandavia said that state governments have also been asked to send their plan of action as per the package so as the centre can release the fund to them soon. In reply to a question on the progress setting up of pressure swing adsorption PSA plan, the Health Minister said the government has set a target of installing 1,573 such plants, out of which 316 have been commissioned and the rest will be commissioned by next month. On the status of vaccination, Mr. Mandavia said that manufacturing of COVID vaccines in the country is being ramped up, and currently on an average 50 lakh vaccine doses are being administered to the beneficiaries per day. He said the government is making all-out efforts to provide vaccination to every eligible person. On the issue of vaccination in children, the Health Minister said that Zydus Cadila and Bharat Biotech are conducting trials of COVID vaccines on children and the trial is going on successfully. Earlier initiating the discussion, Leader of the Opposition in the House, Mallikarjun Kharge, lauded the efforts of COVID warriors, including doctors and healthcare workers. Mr. Kharge highlighted the plight of the people during the pandemic. He also accused the government for mishandling the situation. Participating in the discussion, Shantanu Sen of TMC alleged that the centre is not providing adequate vaccines to non-BJP ruled states. Amar Patnaik of BJD stressed the need for global cooperation for the expediting the ongoing vaccination drive. Swapan Das Gupta of BJP lauded the government's welfare measures, including free ration to people. M. Thambidurai of DMK highlighted the need for greater awareness to deal with this pandemic. Ramnath Thakur of JDU also lauded the centre's measures. Marum Karim of CPIM, Ram Gopal Yadav of Samajwadi Party, Ashok Siddharth of BSP, Vandana Chavan of NCP and Sushil Gupta and Vaiko of MDMK were among those who participated in the discussion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is holding a meeting of floor leaders of different political parties in New Delhi on COVID situation and vaccination status. Floor leaders of political parties including AIADMK, Shiv Sena, NCP, BJD, TMC, BSP and JDU are participating in the meeting. Yesterday, the Prime Minister had requested all floor leaders that he want to give them a detailed presentation on the pandemic situation.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today asked the members of Parliament of the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, to counter the misinformation being spread by the opposition about the coronavirus disease COVID-19 situation in the country. He was speaking at the BJP Parliamentary Party meeting. Mr. Modi also asked BJP MPs to defeat the opposition's misinformation with truth and make people aware about government work. Speaking to reporters after the parliamentary party meeting, BJP leader Prahlad Joshi informed media persons.
प्रधानमंत्री जी विपक्ष के जो स्टैंड है उसके बारे में बहुत चिंता व्यक्त की। सरकार और प्रधानमंत्री जी चाहते हैं कि चर्चा समृद्ध हो, चर्चा सार्थक हो, इसलिए चर्चा में भाग लेना चाहिए। बहुत बड़ा महामारी लगभग 2 साल से हम झेल रहे हैं, लेकिन मोस्ट इररिस्पॉन्सिबल बिहेवियर स्पेशली कांग्रेस पार्टी कर रही है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी हमारे सभी एमपीओ को आग्रह किया है, वैक्सीनेशन का प्रोग्राम है और गरीब कल्याण योजना है, ये सभी गरीब तक पहुंचना चाहिए। इसके लिए भी हमको प्रयास करना चाहिए। ये कॉल माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने किया है।
More than 41 crore 18 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Union Health Ministry said more than 52 lakh 67,000 vaccine doses were administered during the last 24 hours. The recovery rate has gone up to 97.37%. More than 45,000 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. Till now, more than 3 crore 3 lakh people have recovered from COVID-19. India reported 30,000 new cases in the last 24 hours, which is the lowest in 125 days. In all, 374 deaths have been reported in the last 24 hours. Till now, more than 4,14,000 people have lost their lives due to the pandemic.
Union Health Ministry has said that more than 42 crore 15 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been provided to states and union territories so far. It said a further 71 lakh 40,000 doses are in the pipeline. The total consumption, including wastages, is more than 40 crore 3 lakh 50,000 doses. Government has said that two-thirds of general population had SARS-CoV-2 antibodies. Briefing reporters in New Delhi today, ICMR DG Dr. Balram Bhargav said the fourth round of National Sero Survey was conducted in 70 districts in June and July. He said more than half of the children between 6 to 17 years were seropositive. Mr. Bhargav said the survey clearly shows that there is a ray of hope and no room for complacency.
Large sero survey done as round number 4 clearly show that there is a ray of hope. But there is no room for complacency. We must maintain COVID-appropriate behavior and community engagement. Societal, public, religious and political congregations be avoided. Non-essential travel be discouraged. And travel only if fully vaccinated.
According to the survey, around 40 crore population of the country is still vulnerable to COVID-19. The survey was conducted over 28,975 individuals apart from 7,252 healthcare workers. Mr. Bhargav said the fourth survey design was slightly different from the previous 3 sero surveys, as children aged 6 to 17 years were included this time. He said the overall seroprevalence in the entire population is 67.6%. In unvaccinated, the seroprevalence was 62.3%, and with 1 dose of vaccine, it was 81%. The person who received both the doses of vaccine, the seroprevalence was 89.8%. Niti Aayog member Dr. V.K. Paul said, 1 out of 3 people are still vulnerable to COVID-19. He said the pandemic is not over and the second wave is still persisting.
The fact that 40 crore 400 million people have no protective antibodies, no antibodies, because such a large pool of vulnerable population is still amongst us, 1 out of 3. Wherever you are, out of 3 of you, 1 is still vulnerable, and therefore the pandemic is in no way over. Second wave is still persisting. The danger of new outbreaks is very much there.
The COVID helpline numbers are available on our website www.newsonair.gov.in.
The Central Board of Direct Taxes, CBDT, has granted further relaxation in electronic filing of income tax forms 15CA and 15CB and extended the date of filing from 15th July to 15th August 2021. The taxpayers can now submit these forms in manual format to the authorized dealers till the 15th of next month. The CBDT in a statement said that authorized dealers are advised to accept such forms for the purpose of foreign remittances. A facility will be provided on the new e-filing portal to upload these forms at a later date for the purpose of generation of the document identification number. As per the Income Tax Act 1961, there is a requirement to furnish Form 15CA and 15CB electronically. Presently, taxpayers upload the Form 15CA along with the Chartered Accountant Certificate in Form 15CB wherever applicable on the e-filing portal before submitting the copy to the authorized dealer for any foreign remittance. The Supreme Court today asked the Kerala government to adhere to the same guidelines as laid down by the court for the Kanwad Yatra in the wake of the Kerala government's decision to relax COVID-19 restrictions for the Eid al-Adha festival. A bench comprising of Justices R.F. Nariman and B.R. Gavai directed the state to pay heed to Article 21 and its order in the Kanwad Yatra case. Last Friday, the court had cited the fundamental right to life to order the Uttar Pradesh government to stop the annual Kanwad Yatra. The court was responding to a plea against the Kerala government's move to ease lockdown restrictions ahead of Eid al-Adha Bakrid at a time when the state is dealing with an alarming surge in COVID-19 cases.
Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi today said that there is no iota of link between the government and the Pegasus issue. Speaking to reporters, Mr. Joshi said, if the opposition still wants to raise the issue through proper procedure, let them raise it. Mr. Joshi also said the IT Minister has already issued a statement on the issue yesterday in the Lok Sabha. The Union Government today reiterated that it is always open to discussion with Farmers' Union and will remain open to discussion with agitating farmers to resolve the issue. Minister of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Narendra Singh Tomar, in a written reply to Lok Sabha, said so far 11 rounds of negotiations were held between the government and the agitating farmer union to resolve the issues. He said the government has been engaged in serious, sensitive and active discussions with the farmers' unions to resolve the issues. Mr. Tomar highlighted that the government has also extended remunerative price to farmers through its various intervention schemes. The minister said, in all rounds of discussions with the farmers' unions, the government had stressed that instead of insisting on the demand for the repeal of the said acts, the farmer union should discuss about the concerns of the clause of Farm Acts so that the concerns can be resolved. The News Services Division of All India Radio, in its bilingual live and phone-in program, Corona Jagrukta series, will bring you a special discussion program on COVID-19 tonight. Dr. Rakesh Lodha of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, will participate in the live discussion. This can be heard tonight on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
Now here is a review of proceedings in Parliament today. First from the Rajya Sabha, the writer is Sanjeev Chopra of PTI. The highlight of the Rajya Sabha on the second day of the monsoon session today was a short duration discussion on COVID management. Replying to the 4-hour debate, Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia listed out various measures taken by the government to prevent a possible third wave of coronavirus. The minister also refuted the opposition charge of under-reporting of COVID deaths, saying if there was any, it was on the part of states, as the centre only compiled the data sent by them. As many as 26 members from 21 parties participated in the discussion. The Rajya Sabha resumed normal functioning after a day and a half of disruptions caused by opposition members protesting on various issues, including the farmers' protests and Pegasus spyware issue. It was after the second adjournment at noon that Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu called a meeting with opposition leaders and the government, and all agreed to start the discussion on COVID management. The Health Minister, in his almost hour-long reply, said India had vaccinated over 31 crore people so far and had administered more vaccines than any other country. He also said several Indian companies are increasing their production of COVID-19 vaccines, and the country may become the first in the world to develop a DNA-based vaccine. He said the technology transfer of vaccines has started and several companies will begin production in the country in the coming days that will help reduce vaccine shortage. He cited the example of Cadila, which has completed a third phase trial for DNA vaccine and has applied for emergency use authorization before the DGCI. When this comes into the market, India will be the only country where scientists have developed a DNA vaccine, Mandavia said. He said the country has started getting 11 to 12 crore vaccine doses from Serum Institute per month, and Bharat Biotech will supply 3.5 crore doses of its COVID vaccine in August. The minister said that Biological E is running the third phase of its vaccine, and they are expected to come in the market by September-October with 7.5 crore doses per month. Zydus Cadila and Bharat Biotech have started trials on children, and we expect their trial to be successful, he said, adding that we need to trust our scientists and indigenous companies. On the charge of suppression of COVID deaths, the minister said the registration of COVID deaths was done by states, and the central government has never asked any state to record less deaths or cases. The health minister told the members that the government has never done politics over the pandemic and urged members not to do so too. On states complaining of vaccine shortage, he also told the House that states have been given vaccine availability projections 15 days in advance, and it is their responsibility to plan inoculations accordingly. He said as many as 316 oxygen plants out of 1,573 have been commissioned, and the rest will start by August end. Mandavia said it was not appropriate to say that the third wave of COVID-19 will hit children more. He said Zydus Cadila and Bharat Biotech are conducting trials of COVID vaccines on children and hoped for their success. Initiating the discussion, Leader of Opposition Mallikarjun Kharge alleged the government's COVID death toll figures were false and conservative. Congress leader Mr. Kharge alleged that the government failed to tackle the pandemic and made former Health Minister Harshvardhan a scapegoat for what he termed as mismanagement of the crisis. He said the Congress is ready to cooperate with the government in a crisis of this nature and save the people from suffering, he said, noting that the PM has not yet responded to 3 letters written by the party with various suggestions to address the pandemic. Kharge's remarks drew angry protest from the Treasury benches. Congress leader Anand Sharma told them to patiently listen to what was being said and allow the debate to take place. He said a serious topic is being discussed and the ruling party should listen patiently. Kharge said the death toll was definitely higher than the government's estimates. He said the imposition of sudden lockdown hit lakhs of migrants and adversely impacted the economy and created unemployment. He also pointed to the shortage of beds, ventilators and oxygen and said the government is claiming that it successfully managed the situation. Leader of the House Piyush Goyal urged members not to engage in criticizing each other and instead raise the level of the debate to find solutions to address the issue and prevent the likely third wave. Opposition members criticized the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and vaccination program of the government during the debate. They also questioned the government's preparedness and suggested for better coordination with the state governments. Shantanu Sen, AITC, alleged the centre took unilateral decisions and the state government's hands were tied. Amar Patnaik, BJD, said the world is facing a pandemic after 100 years and no government was prepared for this. We cannot politicize the handling of the pandemic because no one is wiser, he said, adding that the relationship between the centre and states and the cooperation is of paramount importance. Tiruchi Shiva, DMK, said the people faced a shortage of oxygen and asked why the government has not contemplated this. Elamaram Karim, CPIM, raised his concern over job loss during the pandemic. MV Shreyans Kumar, LJD, Ram Gopal Yadav, Samajwadi Party, M. Tambidurai, AIADMK, Swapan Das Gupta, BJP, Ramnath Thakur, JDU, Manoj Kumar Jha, RJD, Sanjay Raut, Shiv Sena, Ashok Siddharth, BSP, Vandana Chavan, NCP, Sushil Kumar Gupta, AAP, G.K. Vasan of TMC-M, Kanaka Medala, Ravindra Kumar, TDP and Balwinder Singh Bhundar, SAD also participated in the debate.
And now the review of proceedings in Lok Sabha. Writer is Kumar Rakesh of PTI. Proceedings in Lok Sabha were disrupted for the second consecutive day today due to the protests from opposition parties who raised the Pegasus snooping issue. The House was adjourned repeatedly before being finally adjourned till Thursday. Parliament will not meet tomorrow due to holiday for Eid-ul-Zuha. Soon after the House assembled at 3 p.m., the opposition members again started raising slogans on the Pegasus snooping issue, forcing the chair to adjourn the House for the day. This was the second day of the monsoon session that the House could not transact any legislative business. Amid uproar, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has tabled a supplementary demand for additional expenses amounting to Rs 23,674.81 crore in the House. Opposition members, including Congress and TMC, started raising slogans and showing placards to attack the government on the snooping issue as soon as the House met for the day at 11 a.m. The proceedings went on barely for 5 minutes. The same scene was witnessed when the House reassembled at 2 p.m. Some Congress members were holding placards about Rahul Gandhi's name appearing in the list of potential targets of snooping. Trinamool Congress members alleged that party member Abhishek Banerjee's phone number was selected for surveillance. YSRCP members also flagged the issue of special status for Andhra Pradesh. Speaker Om Birla said it is not right to disrupt the House and the government is ready to give answers on any matter. He urged them to go back to their seats and assured them that he will facilitate a debate on every issue. He said the government is ready to debate on whatever issues you want to debate on, he said. The issue of snooping using the Pegasus spyware has snowballed into a massive political row in Parliament and outside as various political parties are demanding a thorough investigation and action. The government had on Monday categorically rejected in Lok Sabha the allegations of snooping on politicians, journalists and others using Pegasus software, asserting that illegal surveillance was not possible with checks and balances in the country's laws, and alleged that attempts were being made to malign Indian democracy. IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw, in a suo motu statement in the lower house, said the media reports on alleged snooping published today before the start of the monsoon session of Parliament cannot be a coincidence, and stressed that there is no substance behind the sensationalism. That's all in the Parliament Review.
The festival of sacrifice, Eid-ul-Azha or Bakrid, will be celebrated across the country tomorrow. In most of the places, there will be no mass congregations in Eidgahs and grand mosques in view of the pandemic. Several religious leaders and scholars have appealed to the people to celebrate the festival in accordance with the guidelines issued by the government. President Ramnath Kovind and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu have greeted people on the eve of Eid-ul-Zuha. In his message, President Kovind said, Eid-ul-Zuha is a festival to express gratitude to the spirit of love, selflessness and sacrifice, and to work together for unity and fraternity in an inclusive society. He said the festival is also an opportunity to share our happiness and help the poor and destitute people. In his message, Vice President Naidu said the festival of sacrifice Eid-ul-Zuha exemplifies ultimate devotion to God. He said festivals are occasions for families and communities to come together and celebrate. The Vice President appeals to everyone to celebrate Eid by taking utmost precautions and adhering to COVID safety norms. He hoped that Eid-ul-Zuha will bring peace, harmony and happiness in our lives. Listeners from across the country are participating in the Olympic quiz with AIR News. Listeners have emailed us their replies in huge numbers. Bipradeep Bandopadhyay of Durgapur in West Bengal was the first to send the correct answer of the question of 19th July. Many congratulations to him from the entire team of AIR News. Speaking to AIR News, Bipradeep Bandopadhyay expressed his happiness on winning the Olympic quiz and wished the Indian Olympic contingent the best for the Tokyo Olympics.
ऑल इंडिया रेडियो का स्पोर्ट्स कैट क्विज प्रोग्राम में आज का विजेता बनने में मैं बहुत खुश हूँ। मैं चाहता हूँ, ये आशा भी करता हूँ, इंडिया टीम इस बार मैक्सिमम मेडल जीत के आए। इस बार हमारे गवर्नमेंट और प्राइम मिनिस्टर जी खुद इतने अच्छी तरह से पूरा इंडिया टीम को मोटिवेट किया, तो ये तो श्योर है कि इस बार मैक्सिमम मेडल जीत के ये लोग आएंगे।
In cricket, chasing the target of 276 runs set by Sri Lanka, India were 115 for 4 wickets in 17.3 overs in the second ODI at the R. Premandasa Stadium in Colombo a short while ago. The hosts scored the 275 runs with the loss of 9 wickets. Earlier, Sri Lanka won the toss and opted to bat first. The Indian team is unchanged for this game, whereas the Lankans have made one change. Kasun Rajitha has come in for Isuru Dana. The visitors will take an unbeatable series lead if they win the match tonight. India won the first ODI by 7 wickets. The third and final ODI will be played on the 23rd of this month. Billionaire Jeff Bezos blasted into space today in the first crewed flight of his rocket ship New Shepard. He was accompanied by Mark Bezos, his brother Wally Funk, an 82-year-old pioneer of the space race, and an 18-year-old student. They travelled in a capsule with the biggest windows flown in space, offering stunning views of the Earth. New Shepard, built by Bezos' company Blue Origin, is designed to serve the burgeoning market for space tourism. The passengers included the oldest person who has been to space, Ms. Funk, and the youngest student, Oliver Damon. The spacecraft lifted off at 14:12 BST from a private launch site near Van Horn, Texas. Now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Both houses of Parliament faced disruptions over various issues, including Pegasus snooping. Lok Sabha adjourned for the day. Rajya Sabha takes up discussion on management of COVID-19 pandemic, implementation of vaccination policy, and challenges of possible third wave. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asked BJP MPs to counter misinformation spread by opposition about COVID-19 situation in the country. Government is always open to discussion with farmers to resolve the issue, says Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar. More than 41 crore 18 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered so far under nationwide vaccination drive. National COVID-19 recovery rate improves. to 97.37%. Two-thirds of Indians have COVID antibodies, says ICMR Sero survey. President and Vice President greet the nation on the eve of Eid-ul-Zuha, and in cricket, Sri Lanka set a target of 276 runs for India in second ODI in Colombo. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.